everybody, I'm Mark. I'm an alcoholic. Never give me a microphone. I have been through this process as it's laid out with the help of God and a Big Book Step Study sponsor. And I'm going to do my best to keep it to the black lines for you today because that's how it was presented to me. At 7 years of so-called sobriety, I was away from a drink and I was away from a drug, but I was far from any type of recovery. And when I met my sponsor, he just took the book. He says, we're going to keep it to the black lines. I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care how bad it was when you drank. I'm not telling you my drunk-a-log. We're just going to do what's in the book because it's between you and God. I don't run your life. And, me being a good people-pleasing alcoholic was sitting there going, oh, that's a great idea, but no, sponsor, number 3 on the resentment list. You got to put your mom first, you got to put your dad first, just out of tradition, and sponsor is 3. So, if your sponsor's not on your resentment list, he's probably not doing his job. So, I want to thank Vinny for asking me to speak. I saw him Wednesday. He says, can you speak for me on Saturday? I said, sure, because he's like, yeah, the other guy bailed. I'm like, fine. So I'm plan B up here, guys. So, because I was told that when I finished this process, I was to say yes when I was asked to speak. And quite frankly, Saturday is my day to sleep in. I'm usually asleep right now because I work all week, because this process has made me employable. And now I have a job that I've kept for 10 years. That was not on my priority list when I did this process, trust me. Very briefly, like I said, I came to this process at 7 years of being away from a drink and away from a drug. I was mangled sober, like most of us have to be. And I was coming to terms with the fact that just going to meetings and asking for help and telling how bad it wasn't going to keep me sober. I'm not putting that down. I know a lot of people who have had sobriety for many years, and all they do is go to meetings and talk about the war stories, and that's fine. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it didn't work for me. And I knew there had to be something more to it, because my life was a mess sober, okay? I was the guy coming to meetings and talking about gratitude, and I was going home to a very dysfunctional relationship, very violent dysfunctional relationship, and getting fired every 2 or 3 weeks. And I was saying, ain't it great that I don't drink? Okay? And if you saw me and you didn't know me, and then you found out I was sober, you'd probably be shocked. It's like, wait, you did that sober? You act like that sober? Wait, you're not high? You're not messed up? You're not tripping? Good for you. So that's one thing. I see. I'm an alcoholic. When I first came to AA, I found out what worked and what I could justify my actions with. And I could always go back to, yeah, I got fired. Yeah, I didn't pay my bills. Yeah, the IRS is looking for me, but I didn't drink, right? And isn't that what it's all about? Not drinking. And and I had 100 people support that argument with me. I really did. You're gonna find out in this process is that water seeks its own level, and you only attract what you are. So there I was at 7 years of sober purgatory. And I ended up at the Men's Big Book down on the Cape. This was when they were first starting out. It was very early on. I have to mention that I'm a member of the Tuesday Night Men's Big Book. We meet every Tuesday at 7:30 in Lowell. So come on up from Worcester. And so there I was. I ended up, call it divine intervention, whatever. I ended up down on the Cape. And I was sitting in the Men's Big Book, and it got around to me, and I, like a good alcoholic, I quoted page 449. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems. I'm deep. It's like, have you been through the process? Well, yeah, in my own way. Okay, pass. I'm like, no. I'm 7 years sober. I'm the young guy in it. No, I speak. No, you pass. And I was like, they didn't suggest a lot of things in the Men's Big Book. So that's why Men's Big Book was number 4 on the resentment list. So yeah, they made the top 10 pretty quick. So if you're sitting here and you think we're all a bunch of fundamentalists and Nazis and you hate us, you're probably in the right place. So anyway, they presented the steps to me in a different way that I never heard. Step one, it doesn't say I can't drink again. The implication of step one is that I will drink no matter what, and that my life is unmanageable sober, not just drunk. Okay? I came to believe that a power greater than myself, not in a power greater than myself, could restore me to sanity, not would. Okay? Because when I just say God will restore me to sanity, it means I don't have to do anything. I just have to wait around. Step three, I always thought that when you did the prayer every morning, that whatever you did that day, you were doing God's will. Guy cut me off. F you, God's will. You know, I'm following you home in the name of God because I did step three. God's on my side. You're wrong. I think the whole Spanish Inquisition was based on that. God's on our side, right? So that's what I thought it was. And in step three, it's like, no, I have a selfishness I don't think I have. That's what step three means. And no matter how bad I want to get rid of it, I can't. And, when my sponsor proposed that idea to me, I was like, yeah, that's cool, that's great. I'm like, nah, that's complete nonsense now. In the back of my head. I'm a yes man. I'm just like, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll do this, sure. Let's do the writing, yeah. And so anyway, and I did what you hear people say. I went to my sponsor's house. We went over the first three proposals. And you remember that step four is just an effort to face and be rid of the things in myself that are blocking me from God, from society, from my better nature, call it what you want, from functioning in the outside world. That's the purpose of step four. So I went there, and I had been coming to Men's Big Book, and he's like, all right, now we're going to do the third step prayer, and I'm thinking, God, please don't hold my hand. I don't want you holding my hand. And he put his hand on my shoulder, and I almost jumped out of my skin. I'm like, okay, whoa, back up. So I did the prayer, and I did feel the effect, and it was felt at once, like it says. But like it says, it has no to little to no lasting effect unless at once, not eventually, not tomorrow, not someday, not after a couple more years of sobriety, at once, followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things in myself that are blocking me. So I went home and I started writing. And the purpose of step four, just think of it as this metaphor. It's like a farmer. Farmers don't make anything grow. They don't. They just create an environment where growth can take place. That's all they can do. They study weather patterns, soils, different kind of seeds, what's the best time to plant, and then they do it. But they cannot say, all right, now I'm going to go into the subatomic particles and split the atom. They can't do that. That happens somewhere else in some other way. So basically what I'm doing with the fourth step is that I'm creating an environment where my higher power and I can work together where growth can take place. That's the purpose of step four. And I'm really skirting around the issue of talking about sex, to be honest with you. When Vinny said we're going to read page 68, I was like, great. So anyway, I got through the resentment parts. I found out what was blocking me. I found out that my approach to life does not work because I live life as an unrecovered alcoholic from the point of view of a victim. And I want revenge. I don't want justice, I want revenge. Okay? It's like most normal people, they're out on the highway, somebody cuts them off, say, wow, you scared me, don't do that again. You cut me off, I say, wow, you scared me, don't do that again. Now you're gonna pay. I don't care who you are, somebody's gotta pay. Okay? That's what a resentment is. Okay? I found out how that ruled me. It's like they say, it's like my sponsor said, you can only in 30 spiritual laws. Everything you resent, you become. Everything you fear, you make happen. And you only attract what you are. Those are 3 spiritual laws. Nobody gets away with that. Call it dharma, call it divine repercussion. I don't care. It's laws. So I got through this resentment part, and I found out that one of the reasons that kept me in sober purgatory is like, if you're resentful at God, you can't make an approach to a higher power. If you're resentful about love, you can't make approach to any type of person who says they love you. And that's what they were saying to me when I was coming to AA. We love you and God is love. And my first thought was, well, just you stay on your side of the room and we'll be fine. Because I couldn't. And I didn't see that until I did this work, until I did the turnarounds. Fear, I saw what I drew into my life and how I made things happen. And I saw that connection with resentment because, resentment is always secondary to fear. So now we come to sex. And it says we need an overhauling here. And me being the good, self-centered alcoholic, I always thought that was because I was going to have these wild stories about all the crazy things I did. That's not why we need the overhauling. It's because this is where I did the most damage. Quite frankly, if I'm resentful at you, I will avoid you. If I'm afraid of you, I will talk behind your back or try to make you my friend. Okay? When it comes to sex, no, that's up close and personal. So that's why we need the overhauling, because this is where my selfishness and my dishonesty really manifested itself and really did a lot of damage. So it says we reviewed our conduct, okay? We reviewed our conduct around the situation or the topic of sex, okay? I didn't write stuff down like, there I was swinging from the chandelier and she did that, I did that. No, that's not what this is about, okay? That's not what their writing is about, okay? I'm also glad that they put this at the end of the fourth step, because if they put this at the front of the fourth, I probably would have let myself off the hook a lot. It's like, yes, she was married, but she pursued me. I'm off the hook. Thanks for coming. I would have let myself off the hook. So my perception of dishonesty and fear got very refined by the time I got to this part of the fourth. So, I wrote it down. And I looked at it like it said, and I had to answer myself. I had to ask these questions. Where was I selfish? What did I want with a total disregard for what the other person wanted or needed? Where was I dishonest? Where did I lie, cheat, and steal? Where did I omit the truth? And where did I refuse to see the truth that was staring me in the face? Where was I inconsiderate? Whom had we hurt? And this is where it got really clear to me, because first of all, my sponsor said, okay, where it says, whom had you hurt, you may not say me, okay? If your sponsor told you, that's okay, that's fine. That's between you and your higher power and your sponsor. But me, because he had been looking at my work up till then, my whole mantra of life is, you screwed me over, okay? You owe me an amends. If you admit you're wronger first, fine, I'll admit I'm wrong, but you admit it first, Okay. I heard husbands, kids. I heard family members. That's where it really got clear, where I saw the damage. Did I unjustly arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? Okay. What this implies is, you see, this is why we do it with people, because I spin things to make it fit my argument. Did we unjustifiably arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? My first thought was, no, that's completely justified, okay? I was right to play a head game. She started it. Well, she's the sick one, so I have to manipulate, right? Yeah, that's justified, right? And he's like, no, that's not what this is about. Did I unjustly arouse jealousy, bitterness, or suspicion? Where was I at fault? 9 times out of 10, I was at fault for pursuing a situation I knew was hopeless and completely wrong, and did it anyway. That permeates my whole alcoholic experience. It's just like, I knew it was injurious, I knew it was devastating, I knew it was hurting people. I did it anyway. I drank, and it just manifested here in the sex conduct. What should I have done instead? When it came to married women, done instead, stayed completely away. No justification, no reason why I should have been there. None. There was some, and this is where, and I think this is where we start to see the difference between the, no flavor for his fare and the straight pepper diet. What should I have done instead? There should have been times when I just should have been friends, and that's it, and not played it, and just walked away. There should have been times when I just should have waited, and not been so damn impulsive. You know, when I'm feeling insecure or lonely or I'm having a tough time, don't go looking for sex or a relationship. You notice how it says here, it says now about sex. It doesn't say now about relationships. I found there's a huge difference. Huge difference. I just put the word relationships on the situation because I had to justify it. And it was also like the mantra that kept me in the trance that, oh yeah, we have a relationship. And I had a smart sponsor who said, well, what 3 things do you have in common? It's like, well, we both like spaghetti. It's Italian food. And what's her middle name? So I don't want to talk to you anymore. Yeah, you know, stuff like that. I had nothing to relate to somebody with, you see? That's why we need the overhauling here. And at the end, was it selfish or not? Every time, yeah. It was all about what I wanted, what I needed, what I thought, you know, would make me feel better, what I would do. You know, try to maintain that image. Was it selfish or not? Every time. Every freaking time it was selfish. I never had any concern about the other half or the other person or the people around them. Never. So that's where and that's why I caused a lot of destruction. So after I got that down, like I said earlier, one of the spiritual laws is that you only attract what you are, okay? And I attracted sick relationships because I was sick. Like begets like, okay? I only attract what I am. The old timers used to say, 2 sickies don't make a wellie. Okay, I spent my whole life making my case as to why the person or the people were sick and wrong when I was the same thing. Okay, I attracted dishonesty into my life. That's what I did. And this is kind of tough because you kind of have to forfeit your right to be a victim, which in my background, that's a lifestyle. I don't know anybody else. It goes beyond syndrome with me. It really does. So that's why these principles and this process of the 4-step rail against me being an alcoholic, because it just goes against my very lifestyle. Resentment, fear, and thinking like a victim was just a lifestyle that kept me alive. And now I'm asking to turn all this stuff over. It's like, well, what do I do now? So anyway, what my ideals turned out to be had nothing to do with the act of sex or anything like that. It had absolutely nothing to do with the right type of woman or situation. It was like, how was I going to conduct myself when it came to sex or to the opposite sex or relationships? Like Butchie always would say, tell the truth no matter what. Now, if that sounds like a death sentence to you, you're in the right place, okay? Be honest. If you know it's not going to work, walk away. Don't seek relief, okay? Just as an example, a while ago, I was living in this place and my landlord tried to evict me. She's one of us, but she's still in and out of rehabs, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to go into too much description. You know what I'm talking about. And she shot, anyway, and my first thought was, you know, oh man, this sucks. I need a girlfriend. And I'm like, what? Thank God we have a step 10, right? And I called my sponsor, and I'm like, that was the weirdest thing. It's like I'm getting evicted, you know, I got no money, got no place to go, I need a girlfriend. No, wrong answer. You know? So yeah, I have a step 10. Thank God I didn't act out. I didn't go look for anything. I got out and found a place to live, yada, yada, yada. But I'm just saying it's still there. It's still my impulse. It's like they say, after I did all this work, you know, I don't become afraid, I am afraid. I don't become resentful, I am resentful. I don't have dysfunctional relationships. My immediate thought is to have dysfunctional relationships. That's why we say we have a reprieve from this. It's just a reprieve. And thank God for the process, you know, and I didn't have to act out on that. So anyway, yeah, I got through this, and yeah, and I got towards the end, I just want to say, here, you know, I was so happy when I got this done. You know, I was so psyched. I'm like, I finally finished the 4th step. This is awesome. And I called my sponsor. I finished my list. I did the turnarounds. I was feeling high. I'm like, great. I'm going to go take a week off. I'm going to go pray and meditate. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to do some hiking. And I called my sponsor. I'm like, I'm done. Praise God. And he's like, I'm going to take some time off. He's like, no, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm sick of listening to you. I'm like, I took 3 years to write my 4th, and that's not because I was being very precise. No, I put the pen down for 6 months at a time, and I don't wish that on anybody. I really don't. So yeah, and because like it says here, I've just begun to swallow and digest some big chunks of truth about myself. That's it. The truth is slowly being revealed to me at this point. You see, because the truth can't be told, it can only be revealed. So I had just begun to understand what was going on with me, what my approach to life was, and how it didn't work. It was no longer about anybody else. It was no longer about, whatever. I'm an alcoholic. I can make arguments for anything. It's not the economy. It's not politics. It's not this. I've begun to see why my life turned out the way it did. And if you're writing, I will tell you, if you do this work, there will be no doubt in your mind why you turned out the way you did and what your solution is going to be. I'll just end with this. I didn't think this was going to happen. There are no coincidences in AA. April 20th was my sobriety date 3 days ago, and it makes 36 years. I was 17 when I came in. That's always the first question when I tell people how much time I have, is like, how old were you? Yeah, I was 17. I have a daughter who I have in a relationship with. Don't get me wrong, she's 17. I don't understand a thing. I don't get it. But she doesn't hate me. She talks to me. She lives with my ex. My ex-wife still talks to me. We still have a relationship. And and it's all, and I have 36 years of recovery. And it's not because my story was any worse than anybody else here. I'm not smarter than anybody else in here. I'm not more desperate than anybody else in here. I just became very willing to do this work. And please understand that if I could have found recovery without doing this work, I probably would have figured it out. Okay? I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm a big virtuous guy. I'm not. This was either pick up these steps or go to an institution sober. Okay? Or keep moving and keep finding other jobs and keep going, remain a moving target, or I was going to drink, or I was going to kill myself sober. I know a lot of people that have killed themselves sober, okay? Because I did. I remember after one of our classic bouts with the relationship I was in, I was thinking to myself, screw it. If this is all it is, I don't want it. I'm going to go get drunk. I don't know why I didn't. I called my sponsor, and he just said, keep writing. I wanted to kill him too, but I just did because I was desperate sober. So I've taken up enough time. I want to thank Vinny again. Thank you very much.